across the morning sky, feel what's on the wind. Find the perfect water and hope the day won't end. Tune into the outside from the inside once again. Listen to the thunder and watch an eagle soar. We call it living inside the great outdoors.
Good morning. This is Joe Castaway Coolis on a Sunday morning, and Doc isn't ready yet, so he says,
We're already laughing.
just keep talking. You can always talk. So this is Castaway Coolis. You're listening to Inside the Great Outdoors on a rainy Sunday morning. Oh, is it pouring out there? So be careful if you're on the roads because it's a little nasty.
It sure is.
Woo.
I got ready.
You got ready.
Even though I'm preparing breakfast here for everyone. you know.
Right. Right.
It's foggy and slippery, and it rains here and rains there, and some places it's very, very heavy, so be careful out there.
Exactly.
This is Dr. Norm, and sitting across from me,
In my duck shirt that my son Sam got me for Christmas, because it's a beautiful day for ducks.
it's very quacky.
It's the
But
ducks are loving
ducks
it.
do not. Oh, who are you?
I'm Big Daddy Carl
Okay.
Bachtel.
Okay.
And ducks don't love the rain.
No.
They don't
But
fly in the rain, that's
they
for
don't like
sure.
it.
All the water
Nuh-uh.
falls right off of them.
And do you know why they don't like the rain?
Because it hits
It's
their eyes.
They don't have eyelashes.
That's right.
No.
And it just hits, like most
It's
animals.
It's their eyeballs.
Yeah, so I wonder why God didn't give them eyelashes.
Because they don't want to fly in the rain.
Yeah, I guess so.
They could
They
get
wanna-
those
they wanna get
false
in a puddle.
eyelashes like
Yeah.
the ladies wear.
Yeah.
Now, if you're looking at a girl, do you look at her eyelashes and go, hey, boy, does she have a nice set of eyelashes?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I do. That's the first thing I see.
Yeah, right. Boy, these guys are bold.
I'm all about personality myself.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I don't,
Mhm.
that's Carl and me. We don't look at their eyelashes.
It's not about physical attributes. It's all about what's inside and what's in the heart.
It really is. In the at first it's all the physical things, but after
Not for me.
After you get
No, sir.
after you were with a person for a while, that's because they get older and on and on. And but it was so bad. Actually,
kissing is temporary, but cooking lasts.
That's true.
Yeah. And
That is definitely true.
right, and that's
I'm
kind of
telling
the
you.
older you get, the more important that is.
You got that right.
It was so bad driving in, I couldn't see the lines, and at one time I was because there was an exit. I was driving in the berm.
Mhm.
What the heck? And then there's some cars with lights flashing, and other guys still on trucks, pickup trucks, going 85, 90 miles an hour when everybody else is going 45. I couldn't believe how hard it
Well,
was raining. How about you?
It was the same. There were, some people are doing 35 on the highway and other
Yeah.
people are doing 85.
Yeah.
But a warning to everyone. Beware of people driving in the rain with no lights on.
Are you kidding?
I saw two vehicles.
Oh, my gosh.
One was a car, and all you could see was a little black shape with all the rain coming up
Oh,
off the highway.
boy.
And the other one was a tow truck,
What?
a flatbed tow truck. And he had his headlights worked, but nothing else on not the overhead lights, not his running lights. He doesn't have to have his flashers on if he's not towing somebody.
Okay.
But he didn't have a car on the flatbed.
Yeah.
But his brake lights, everything did not work. You could not see him at all.
Oh, my.
And
One of those
it's
cars,
so
cars going
dangerous.
90,
He
be
was
right
he
up
was
their
flying.
back end.
Yep.
Mm.
That's what I don't understand. I had a woman, first of all, she almost sideswiped me because she wasn't paying attention, obviously. I don't know if she was, impaired, but she's right next to me and getting over, and I'm like, you know,
Oh.
and then she's sped up,
yeah.
and I dropped back and got behind her, and she cut over right,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
triple lane change right behind a semi with all the wet roads, and
Oh,
she's
my
doing about
gosh.
70. It's like, what are you doing? These people, you got to be careful.
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
you know, here's the thing about driving in bad weather, whether it's rain or snow or anything else. You'll be fine. As you know, if you want to drive fast and you want to make quick lane changes and take those exit ramp turns really fast, that's fine. But you're only fine when you get away with it. You got to be careful because sometime it'll get you.
Yeah.
And then it might get you in big trouble. So I saw one set of flashing blue and red lights on the underpass here at 480 and 77.
As you're coming in, yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that too.
I think
Oh,
there's
I
a
didn't
big
see that.
puddle. I think there's a big puddle down there that people are hydroplaning through.
Oh, I didn't see that.
But that hydroplaning is very dangerous. That you can a quarter
it's
inch of
right
water
now. It's
can
right
lift
now.
your vehicle up. It's amazing how water reacts to. I mean, water does some strange things.
You'll
sometimes.
just fly up in the air.
yeah.
And you know, it's not you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt other people.
That's
Right.
That's the whole
Yeah.
thing. You know, you could kill a whole family, you idiots.
hmm
Oh boy, it's amazing how with this weather, but but we all made it in,
Yep.
and it's going to be an inside day today. But
This is a knifey morning here.
Oh,
What?
we've got blades.
oh
We
yeah, that's
got
right.
It's
Oh,
the
yeah,
blade
that's right,
show.
This
knifey.
is a blade show.
Man, I'm
Carl
armed,
got a
I'm armed to
blade.
the teeth.
Carl got a blade from his boy for Christmas. I
Mhm.
get. Oh, what
I
a what
had
a
to bring
blade!
it in and show it off. Maybe we'll
Oh.
show it on Facebook later.
Yeah,
All
Um,
these blades have to be shown on
Yeah.
Facebook.
yeah.
We'll do a knife review on
There
Facebook.
you go. That's a
There,
good
that'd
idea.
be good.
Yeah. Because it's
Joe
a-
got Carl some blades. I brought a blade in for Joe or for Carl. He's not going to believe it.
Uh-oh.
I got a little story behind it too.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, we'll do
Well, that's
we'll
the
wait
thing.
a while.
If you have a little pocket knife, a little pen knife, all the way up to a big Skinner
Boa,
Yeah,
or a Bowie.
buoy.
or
You've
a
got-
machete.
Yeah. Every knife tells a story, just like every fishing rod and every
Yes, it
fishing hat
does.
you've had.
Yes, it does.
All those stories are located inside those items, and that's why you have them. They're your companions.
And they're so often you need a knife. Open
Mhm.
something, whether it be a package or even pry up something, or a lot of times, or you're working with something that a string or something you need to cut
Yeah.
it. It's they're I remember when they were outlawing them, they couldn't be over 3 inches.
It's still
Yeah.
that way.
Is it still? Yeah.
That's funny. When I got married, we got married in front of the judge in
I did,
downtown
too.
Akron.
Downtown
And,
Columbus.
the going in, you had to go through the metal detector down at the courthouse.
Yeah.
And I had a knife on me.
Oh.
I had a little lock blade, and they confiscated it. They said, "You can't carry that in a courthouse." I'm like, "Oh."
I actually
But
had to say.
they held on to it and then gave it to me after we got hitched.
Okay,
so-
so I realized I'm at the airport.
Was
ready
this
to
in
go.
Alaska when you had that blade with the
I was
little
going to Alaska.
oh
So I had this little knife, just these 3-4 inch little pocket knife.
yeah.
So I thought, oh shoot, if I give it to him, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So here I went in the bathroom, and I went by one of the stalls, and I put it up on top
Uh-oh.
and hid it.
Like in The Godfather,
Then I came back,
where hid the gun.
and it was gone.
somebody knew it.
But I maybe a camera saw it, but I put it up high. Nobody could see it. How did they know it was there? And it was a nice.
It was probably the cleaners.
They cleaned the top edge.
Sure.
Oh.
They'll take and wipe down everything in those,
Oh.
if they
well,
do it right.
Yeah. Well, it was the right person, because when I came back, it was gone, and it was a good one, or I would have just left it. And there's nowhere to hide it. Nowhere. That was a bummer. But
That's when you lose a knife. It's like,
yes.
because I've lost.
I don't know
my-
how many knives I lost duck hunting,
Yeah, I lost one fishing.
cutting decoys that wrapped around a propeller.
Oh,
You know? And it was
drop it.
always a good knife. It
Yes.
was never a junky knife.
No,
So
no.
finally, I bought those little junky knives to put in the well of the boat
Yeah.
back there to use to cut the decoy
Yeah.
lines when they got wrapped.
Oh yeah, it's amazing what But so if you're on the roads today, people, and I looked at radar, and it's going to be around for a while.
Yep.
So even
At
though it
least
might
this
not be
morning
dark,
when it's dark, it's
when you go out,
really
yeah.
worse when it's dark.
but it's it happens so fast when you're driving. That's the problem. Like you said,
Mhm.
a big water
Takes as a puddle.
puddle, yeah, and you go into it and you're going sick. Did you see on the news this morning, 177 people in South Korea plane crash,
Nope.
and they show it, and they warn you. And what happened is he had no flaps, and he circled the field once, and he's coming in as slow as he could go. He can't slow down. He has no landing gear. He has no flaps. So he hits the runway, which would have been okay, but he was probably going, they didn't say, I'm guessing, those big planes probably need 150 miles an hour to stay up in the air. So he's coming down, he
Probably
hits the
more than that.
runway, and he's skidding.
Yeah, he's probably going 300 miles an
300.
hour. Yeah.
So he's on the runway, and they could see the bottom of the plane turning cherry red, and then all of a sudden it explodes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he hit a building at the end of the runway, is what happened. And the only two people who survived were the crew that sat in the back of the plane. Everybody else is kaput. But when you see that fireball, you don't know how did those two people. But I remember my first trip to Alaska, and I had to go to Africa. You had to go. There was not enough time to get a passport, so I had to fly to New York City in the morning and go and fill in everything. And then I spent the day in New York City looking around, and then they tell you the office closes at 5, come back at 4:30. And the flight was originally say 9 or 10 o'clock. So I go there at 4:30, and there's 40 people waiting. They need their passports, one day. And you're all sitting together, and you meet the people from all over the world and visiting, camaraderie. And then they call 4 people, and everybody claps for them, and they go in.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's getting later and later, and it's getting close to 5 o'clock. And, my gosh, and down to the last handful. And they called my name. Everybody claps. So I got in a cab and went right to the airport. Well, I knew I had time, but I says, well, can I get on an earlier flight? You fly from New York to England. London. And so I'm waiting in line, and I went up and said, can I get on the earlier flight? And he says, oh, yeah, we have seats on the 747, the big one?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just came out. So that was going to be a thrill to ride. So I'm waiting in line, and the girl's there.
He took off from Kitty Hawk.
Yeah, right. And she says, I was visiting with her, so we're hanging out together, and she says, we need
another one.
we need to go sit in the back of the plane. I says, why? She's, my relatives work for the airlines, and they said whenever you travel, they always find the back tail section for whatever reason. So I sat back. I thought, well, that's strange. So I sat back there, and it was a long flight, and you get there in the morning. But I saw this crash. I'm thinking, oh, got to be praying for the 100, all of them except those 2. But it is going at full speed. They have no idea why. No flaps. No. If they had had flaps, it could have slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't slowing down. And then all of a
That's too
sudden,
bad.
it explodes. And I wondered, why did it explode? Well, then it hit a wall. Well, at that speed, and you see, you got to pray for those people. So And that's the second crash. There was a crash in Russia, exactly where I went, Baku. When I went to Russia.
Lucky you weren't, because the Russians shot it down.
Azerbaijan.
Yeah. That's where I went on that sheep hunt, and so I went to Azerbaijan, but I went to Baku, and so I was in
It
that
was
airport.
birds with a machine gun.
Yeah. First they said birds, and then
All those holes in the side of the plane.
at least few more people lived from that crash. So, all right, we got that all in. So we got a break. You're listening to Inside the Great Outdoors on a rainy Sunday morning. Take a break and be back.
Just like the guy whose feet are too big for his bed.
Welcome back. Listening to Inside the Great Outdoors on a rainy Sunday morning. Going to phone lines. How's Jim doing?
Doctors.
How's it going?
Hey, a couple days before Christmas, I was listening to the radio, and they had said that Crocodile Dundee died.
Right.
So Katie did some research for me. It was Bert that died. Bert is the 16-foot saltwater crocodile that was his co-star on the movie. And then you guys were mentioning knives. If you could get Paul Hogan on the call in, he could probably give you some good knife stories.
Yeah.
And you know, Carl's trying to caress Taylor Swift in the call to give us her recipe for Mississippi pot roast and catfish cakes. Doesn't she wear a pair of those very expensive alligator skin cowboy boots?
Yeah.
Sure.
Probably.
Yeah. So, okay, Dr. Norm, you could explain a little bit between the alligator and the crocodile and their how they reproduce and all that good stuff. So I'm going to go bye.
Okay.
And
All right.
I'm going to go bye now. And bip bip and all that bloody rot.
Okay. See ya.
Well, they lay eggs.
Oh,
Crocodiles and alligators, they both lay eggs. And depending on whether it's a male or female is depending on the temperature of the eggs.
really?
Yeah. If it's too cool, I guess it's females. If it's warm, it's a male.
Wow, that's interesting. I
They always used. I lived in Florida, New Orleans. They said if you see a, sort of looks like a muskrat house, only bigger.
yeah.
There's nothing around. You
Right.
better keep your head
Yeah.
on a
Mama
swivel.
watches
Mama will be around.
watches those nests. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it was odd for a while they were protected, and now they hunt them.
Yep.
So when from
Well,
one
yeah,
extreme-
they really came back. They
Yeah.
were on the endangered
Yeah.
species list for a long time.
right.
And I remember I used to go to Florida a lot and take pictures. I did a lot of wildlife photography in my younger days.
Yeah.
And it was hard to find an alligator.
Yeah.
It really was,
And now,
And now they're all over the place.
Yeah, in people's yards
They
and-
really came back.
Yes.
And that's a good
Yeah,
story.
sure.
I might have a little to talk about
Yeah, we used
later
to see 'em.
about some endangered species that are coming back.
I used to play golf a lot in Florida, and we'd see alligators at the golf course all
Yeah.
the time. And
yeah, because they look docile.
It's
They're
like
just
you're-
laying there. And
Oh, no.
don't hit it
And
near
then-
the water.
Right. Yeah, right.
They're quick.
If it is, forget it.
I
Leave it there.
actually had a client who, had a house in Florida.
Yeah.
Don't walk your dog along the canals there, especially little dogs. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, my
They're-
sister lived in Tampa, sort of. They had an apartment sort of close to the Hillsborough River, and we were younger. They had like an old orange grove on one side of the apartments, and I'd go over there and pick oranges. And then the other times, I'd go to the river and fish. And down at the river, there was a bend, and there was like it It was a local joint. It wasn't like a KFC or anything, but they had chicken and stuff. And the guy used to take chicken parts and feed the alligator behind the place.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the worst thing you can do.
Absolutely.
The worst. Because that alligator is going to get used to people,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll see the person as the food source.
Exactly.
And if you don't have any chicken,
you're as good as gold.
exactly, you turn into a big chicken, just like Joe does every day when he's out in the coop.
Right.
He's a whisperer.
Mm-hmm.
All you need's a big owl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've had some Christmas was okay, but ever since then it's been disastrous.
Yeah.
Disaster. I can't believe how many bad things could happen.
Well, I tried to text you something and it wouldn't go through, and I'm thinking he must have got hacked.
Yep.
So that's what.
And so it was first. It started with it started with Amazon. I didn't have a lot of orders, and one order locally, the gentleman ordered 2 separate orders. I put them together. I didn't put the tracking number down, so my percentage. You have to have percentages up, or Amazon will cancel you. And it went. Their limit is 95%. I was 94.44 because there weren't a lot of orders. You know, if there would have been a lot of orders and you had one, it'd be no big deal. So they closed everything for like 4 or 5 days, and you have to write to them and explain what caused it. Mm-hmm. How are you going to make sure it don't happen? All of this. So I'm writing these. I call and get an Oriental lady. I can't understand every 5th word. I can understand. So try it again. Same thing. Nothing. Try it again. So then finally it was either real early or real late in the day. And I got a girl from Arizona that I could understand. And I explained to her what happened. So I says, can I write the answer as we are talking? She said, yes. So we put number 1, period, blah, 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 whatever, number 2, every blah, 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 number 3. So I answered exactly their 3. I asked her, is a computer looking at this or a human? She says, no, a human. I says, okay. So finally, after 4 or 5 days of no Amazon store, it's back up, and I got an order right away for shad sent. Okay, got that done. But now the Facebook was crashed, hacked. And I'm trying to get back on. Everything I tried, nothing. And then they said, you got to prove who you are. So you had to take a picture, hold the phone up, and look at the phone. Turn your head to the left. Turn your head to the right. Turn your head up. Turn your head left. There, right. So I did all that. Still nothing. Then I got a note from Facebook. You only have till January 11 to go back on. I've been waiting. So I went on, and here it showed do you know this person? And here was the hacker. And his name was like 25 syllables, all this. I said, no, And then about all your different emails and that,
Mm-hmm.
you know that? Yes. And finally, after all that time, I got that. Okay, so now I'm feeling better, except yesterday morning, Barron is not by the door waiting for me to get up. And I go down, and he's laying in the hallway. And he always runs to get fed. Why is he laying there? So I went to move him, man. He showed me his teeth. He didn't want to be touched. Okay, so I went in the thing, put his food in there. He didn't come. So I went through everything, and I go back, and he stood up, and he walked, and he did go to his food, and he ate. But he was like docile.
Mm-hmm.
And so how am I going to get him? I can't lift him. Then I called Doc. Doc said, well, put down a blanket. Well, then in that, he didn't want to lay down. He was walking around all the time. And I can't lift him. I don't know what I'm going to do. I thought, well, I'll take him to the emergency room. But he don't like to go in the car now because the last time he went to the emergency room, he didn't like that. And he used to love to go for a ride, and now, no way. And so I called my buddy, and I said, I don't know what to do. I called the local vet, and they didn't have any room, and then he was fine. He walked around, and he wasn't himself, but he was definitely walking around. And so I didn't know what to do, so I watched. And then by the end of the day, he wanted to play. He wanted his supper. I went to church. He wanted his treat. I give him a little bone treat. When I go this morning, he's up and like nothing. But it was scary. And so I got to watch and see. But I don't know how I could get him to go to the vet because I can't lift him. And he don't want to go in the vehicle.
They do have an emergency service, too, in town here.
Yeah, but you got to get him there.
No,
Oh.
they have an emergency service. They'll pick the dog up for
really?
you. Yeah.
Oh. Because
I don't know how well they work. Again, I've been out of the picture for
I did
10
find
years now,
a mobile where they come but they tell you what you can do, and if it's worse things, then they don't. So I'm watching. But today he wants to play, and he wanted his treat to leave.
Hey, Carl, do you think if we show our teeth to Joe, he'll leave us alone?
No.
So mentally,
It didn't work with Barron.
yeah.
So.
and what was scary with all of this combined, I am trying to work on making the shorts for YouTube. And I'm hoping it was just so much on my mind, I didn't know what the next step was. I'm thinking, what do I do now? I was a complete loss mentally, So I'm hoping it was all that stuff at one time acting. But I usually do this. Okay, I go to this, and I worked on the video, and now what? I had no idea what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really scary part that, I'm hoping it was just too much at one time, and getting older, because I got a lot of stuff to do. But I could do other stuff, but it was just a few things I had to really think, what's next? So that was and then I find out, because I'm getting my voice is a little raspy, I went to a Christmas dinner, and almost everybody there got sick. I'm thinking, whoa, but they are already, some worse than others, and so that's the only thing I see is a little raspy voice. And
Yeah, my daughter was sick on Christmas.
yeah, so I thought,
Boy,
man.
luckily, we were
She was-
all well for Christmas.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
about the first Christmas that everyone
Wow.
was well, and I think everyone is still well.
Well,
the
everybody
whole
at the
family
party was
yeah.
well when they got there,
Yeah.
but now I
I think
talking to
everybody's
him and
still well, as far as I know.
well, yeah. So I'm hoping that's the only thing a little raspy, and I feel okay. But when I hear all these people, some worse than others, I thought, whoa. So I'm glad that's over, and it looks like things are. Seeing Barron being normal is a huge thing, and me being. Well, I'll see when I work on the computer today. That was scary what's the next step?
I'd still get him in someplace, Joe.
Well, I'll see how he does. I got to figure out
I wouldn't
how.
see how he does. I'd take him in.
Yeah, I got to get him there. It's not an easy
Yeah,
project.
well,
Not now, and I can't lift him, so we'll see. I'll watch him. But anyways, we got to take a break. You're listening to Inside the Great Outdoors on a beautiful Sunday morning.
we got a lot to talk about this morning.
Oh, yeah.
At least I do. I know Carl
I
does.
got a little.
I did, so I'm okay now.
You're done.
I'm
Okay.
done. You guys take over.
Well, we'll take over.
Okay, we'll take a short break, and we'll be back.
It won't be long till happiness steps up to greet me. Raindrops keep falling on my head, but that doesn't mean my eyes will soon be turning red. Crying's not for me, 'cause I'm never gonna stop the rain by complaining, because I'm free.
Are you ready to catch the big one? Introducing Kodiak Fish Attractant Catfish Bombs, your ultimate secret weapon for a successful fishing trip. Designed with fishermen in mind, Kodiak Catfish Bombs release an irresistible scent that draws catfish in from miles away. Just toss it in, wait a bit, and watch the action unfold. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, these bombs are hot stuff. Perfect for the weekend angler or those late-night catfish excursions. Watch your catch rate explode with Kodiak Fish Attractant Catfish Bombs. Available online at Castaway.com. That's Castaway with a K.com. Thanks for listening to the Inside the Great Outdoors podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or stories you'd like to share, shoot us an email at jcoulis@castaway.com. That's Castaway with a K. We'll share your comments with our audience on the following week's show. Thanks again for listening to Inside the Great Outdoors.
Riders on the storm.
Welcome back. Listening to Inside the Great Outdoors on a beautiful rainy Sunday morning. And
Well,
Doc let you, I talked myself out, so you talk.
You were talking about your bad week, and well, I spent Monday in the hospital
Oh, geez.
in the ER. I had to get antibiotics for one of the. I have a new wound.
It's a new wound?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was
It's a
one of the
newer
old-
one. It's not one of the older ones.
Oh, that's not good.
It was a spot that went bad on me. But
Just like that
it's-
after.
yeah, right along the edge of my toes on the top of my foot, which is a bad place
Yeah.
because, when you wear shoes, it rubs, or boots, or work, and you stand a lot and you walk a lot, and, it gets all inflamed and the swelling goes up. And I don't know why they call it swelling, because there's nothing swell about it. It's just, and then when that happens, it gets quite painful.
Oh, I bet.
But you're always, when you walk, your toes bend right there.
Yeah.
And everything you do with your foot, it bends right there. And that's one of the problems. So, but they're working on it. They have, all sorts of wound dressings and
So they got it under
stuff,
control.
antibiotics, and I had to get some IV antibiotics, but I'm okay.
Good.
I just
Good.
spent a few hours
Good.
down there listening to people cough and hack and
Oh, boy.
complain.
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand. Because
Well-
I know in an ER situation, an emergency room, they prioritize patients by their need to be seen.
Correct.
If depending on how, critical they are.
Yeah, not
there's
by
a
when you come
scale.
in.
If
Right.
they come in with their head in their hands,
Yeah.
they're number one.
Right. But there were these people think it's like a restaurant. How come they went back first? This guy got up and was complaining, and they were, they didn't say why. They just said that we prioritize based on your case, and
Yeah.
the doctors decide who to take back.
Well, yeah.
and it's not even the nurse, the admitting nurse that's there.
It's the physician.
It's the physicians in the back. And they tried to explain to these people, and the guy was like, well, my wife's been sitting there for, in this hard chair, and I'm looking at the chairs, and they're all cushioned.
Yeah.
But she's like, she's had back pain, and we've been here for an hour, and like 3 people have already been taken back, and she said her pain level was 8. And she's like, well, I'm sorry, let me look on the list and see where she's like, second. It wasn't a critical thing. She wasn't like, at the point where she can't sit or walk or anything.
She wasn't hemorrhaging.
And the guy goes over to his wife. Now, mind you, the wife is the one who is complaining of back pain, and on her scale of 1 to 10, she says it's an 8, which is pretty painful.
Yeah.
Quite painful.
And uncomfortable in the whole 9 yards. The husband said, we're leaving. Let's go. It said some expletives about the ER and the hospital. And he stormed out, yelling and screaming and, angrily telling people, telling the nurse and the security guard and anybody who within earshot, how bad the place is. They can't get
Oh.
waited on. It's like it's not a restaurant. And then the poor woman's hunched over with back pain, and she's following him out, scurrying behind him, apologizing to everybody. I'm sorry. And she's the one in pain.
Wow.
It's like, why are you doing that to your poor wife? If she needs the meds or she needs to be seen by a doctor because she messed up her back, patience. It's not a critical, she wasn't in a car accident and is unconscious and lost 2 quarts of blood or whatever. It just drives you nuts. People have no sense of everybody thinks they're entitled.
They have no decency.
I was here first. It's like there's, you're on the priority list. You're not that high. And I knew I wasn't that high. They checked my temperature and looked at my foot and everything. And they knew what it was. They knew what they had. I didn't spike a fever. It's not a bad infection. They just wanted to kick it early. And so I sat there for a couple hours watching, they had Christmas movies on.
Yeah.
And I was watching Christmas movies in the ER waiting room. And people were just unbelievable.
People are people. They're never going to change.
I should be first. I was here first. Oh, geez.
Mm.
And it's like,
too bad.
Just have a little patience. As they say, pack your patience wherever you go, and it'll get through life a lot better.
C'est vrai, monsieur.
Mm-hmm. And, there are times to say something, and there are times to keep your mouth shut and accept the situation for what it is. And that's it. That's all she wrote. So,
Wow. But are you
I'd
better
hate to see-
today? How are you feeling today?
yeah, I finally got to sleep about 2:30 this morning.
Oh.
So it was, tossing and turning, trying to get comfortable, and it just wasn't. And I took my pills and waiting for them to work, and, I think it just got inflamed and swollen, and when that happens, it gets pretty painful. And then
Life is rough,
it goes down, and get to sleep and feel much better. So
Yeah.
I still need about 6 more hours of sleep.
Yeah.
But hey,
Well-
we got a Browns game coming up. I'll sleep through that.
Yeah, and yeah. It's not till 4:00. I heard.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
They moved it?
yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
So-
Well, if you're going to the game, pack your rain gear.
Yeah, and Ohio State will play at 5:00 on New Year's
New
Day.
Year's Day.
Yeah,
Wednesday.
so I get to watch that.
Yeah.
And the Cavs have been doing good. And on the little brighter side, I got a new phone. I went in there because I couldn't update my phone. It's time to update something. So they said you have to go in. So I went in, and then
They try and sell you everything.
Well, yeah, they did, and they accomplished that. But I went in, and
you got a new phone, you need a new case. And
and
if
I
you have a new case, you need a new this and a new that. And
so
you
he
need
said, I said,
insurance
well,
and-
what's with the new ones?
Need a
And
new
if-
pair of shoes.
If you get a new phone, they give you a free watch because I have an older watch. And so I said, okay, well, what's with the new ones? Well, by the time it was over, it was worth it because mainly what I do use a lot,
Joe's teaching his phone to feed the chickens.
right? I I got it. I spent all day yesterday. Well, first, a little bit earlier, the girl that did all the television shows wanted. She made a 3-minute video of the Hatteras and all the other charter boats, and she asked me on Christmas if I could make a DVD. I said okay. So I looked and I found it. So whoa, that was lucky, because I'm going through all the old tapes and converting, and so I found it. And my DVD machine would not work. Tried everything and everything. Basically spent 2.5 days, could not get it copied. I'm hoping now.
No wonder you can't think of things that your brain's fried.
It is, yeah. So then I thought last night, why don't I put it on a little SD card? Her laptop's got to have that port instead of a DVD. So I'm hoping, and I posted it on YouTube after I got back up on YouTube. And so I spent that time, but so then I started learning about this phone is the camera technology today is, or it's using AI, of course, and I'm watching the videos how to set it up, all the little tricks, because they don't show you the little tricks. But anyways, I could take a picture. I had a picture of the deer in the field, relatively close. You hold your finger on the deer. It outlines it. You can then move it within the picture. You could make 2 deer or 3 deer, or take them away, or put it somewhere. It's magic. It is magic. So if nothing else, for the camera, it was worth it. And so I'm learning to. So instead of trying to type,
my wife does that. She'll take like people out of the picture and.
But this is on the phone.
Yeah, on the phone.
Yeah.
She does all that.
So I'm trying to type, the keyboard on the phone's little. Now I take my little pen that's part of the phone, and I just write it out, and it turns it into text. So it was worth it. It was really worth it.
You don't have talk to text?
Yes, I do, but I don't use it. I don't know why.
I know why.
Why?
Because you can't pronounce any words. You tell your phone something, the phone goes, what?
I know everybody uses that. They ask that, and I type it out.
Yeah. I type it out.
Did you do any cooking this week, Joe?
Warming.
Oh.
No cooking, warming up things that people gave me.
My wife did some cooking. She cooked for Christmas, and we had some prime rib, which was nice.
Ooh, that
Oh.
sounds good.
Oh.
Delicioso.
Well,
And,
I have one sitting in the freezer. I'm afraid to ruin it.
Well, I got an idea for a new book for you. It's going to be a cookbook.
And
The title is going to be The Fear of Frying.
That's a good one.
that is a really
That's
good
a
one.
good one.
That's a really good one. Oh, okay. When we come back, we're going to talk about knives. So we'll take a short break, and we'll be back.
He will die, killer on the road. Yeah.
Welcome back. Listening to Inside the Great Outdoors. All these grease. We got a note from Steve the Tree Guy. Unfortunately, his Christmas, he had a heart attack. And he went to the hospital. And then while he was there, he had another one. But he did mention he didn't complain. He'll maybe complain when he gets the bill. But it sounds, well, that's the best place to have a heart attack, is if you're in the hospital.
Yep.
I mean, they can. So when you have a heart attack, what do they do to stop it? What's the procedure?
Well, they first find out if you're having a heart attack.
Yeah.
And then nowadays, they usually put some stents in you.
So if you're having a heart attack, I mean, how much time do you have for them to do something?
Depends.
It depends, but nowadays it's the procedures are usually pretty simple. They sedate you, and they put a stent in. It's usually your
Okay, explain
descending
what a heart
coronary.
attack is.
What happens is you get a clot. Usually, it's a clot in one of your arteries in
so
the heart.
the blood's not moving.
So the blood's not moving, right?
Oh, okay.
It's not moving through your heart, and it's causing destruction of your cardiac musculature.
So, but you have some time. It's not like you got
Right. Well, you have
Sometimes.
little time. Sometimes it's such a major clot, it just stops your heart.
Oh, and that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
They can't start
They
it.
can't.
Well, they can try.
They can sure try,
And
but sometimes
they do, but sometimes it's
too far gone.
you have a massive coronary, and that's
There's
it.
too much destruction of the cardiovascular tissue there,
Mhm.
Okay.
and it's bye-bye, baby.
Oh. So I
Yep.
never. And how do you know if you're having one?
You got a lot of pain. At least I had a lot of pain associated
Where?
with it in my heart, in my chest.
So your
Chest
chest really
pains.
hurts.
Yeah, your chest.
you
Your
can have
your right
radiating-
arm can hurt.
Yeah.
You can hurt all. You have referred pain. You could have referred pain all
How
over
bad
your
is
radiating
that
body.
pain? You really know it?
Well, sometimes it just seems like a bad stomach ache,
Oh.
or it can feel like chest pain, and sometimes you're going, I don't know. That's
Yeah.
Like I was
So if
doing
it's not-
surgery on a cat,
Yeah.
and I had kind of a feisty weekend that weekend. I was down in West Virginia. We were rabbit hunting. Then we went to a gun bash, and I won a shotgun. And I didn't feel really good that whole
You
weekend.
had the heart attack while you were operating on a cat?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And I said, I got to finish this surgery,
Did you?
And I finished the surgery, and I called my wife. I said, I'm coming home. I just don't feel really good, So I drove home, of course, stupid me. And I didn't feel really good that morning. I felt like I had a stomach ache, And I'm reading all these things about a heart attack. They said, take some aspirin. I took some aspirin, and I knew it was a heart attack. And I was, here's a medical guy, dumb as a stone, And then I said, you better take me to the hospital. So she takes me to the hospital. She's driving real slow, stops at the stoplight, makes full stops at the stop sign. I said, you better speed it up, She stops at the store, went shopping at Kohl's. And
To get gas.
Then we stop to get gas. And then we finally get to the hospital, and the nurse looks at me and says, get him back there,
So
and the doctor walks in, and luckily they called him Dr. T, and my nurse, I knew her because she was a client of mine. She goes, Dr. T, meet Dr. T.
So if it's like yours where you're not like, oh my God, does that mean it's not as serious as if it's
Well, it all depends. And she says, what's your amount of pain? And I said, it's about a 6. And my wife said, if he says it's a 6, it's a 10,
Yeah, that's the way the nurses always ask me, what's your pain level? And I'm like, 3, 4.
Yeah.
And it's like, it hurts,
Yeah.
but I'm just,
Yeah, I'm the same way,
they're,
Have you had a heart attack?
No.
Good.
So, they wheel me back.
I've had
and-
my heart broken, though.
Oh.
Me too.
Mhm.
Me too.
Many times.
They wheeled me back. They sedated me, and I get done, and it was Dr. Sharma, and I said, Dr. Sharma, thank you for your expertise, and he just kind of waved me off.
Yeah. I got a good heart attack story.
Yeah.
Well, my dad had a heart attack, and he had to have open heart. He had to have
Bypass.
quadruple pipe or triple
So
bypass.
sometimes they have to.
Yeah.
If it's really bad,
That means they
gotta
don't have
crack
a lot
your
of
chest.
time
Yeah.
to do
Yeah,
it.
you're in pretty bad shape.
Okay.
Your
Yeah.
arteries are all clogged
Oh.
up. I guess mine weren't that bad that
Okay.
they could put a couple
So that's
stents in.
open
Yeah.
heart surgery
Mhm.
versus.
This was years ago. It has
Right.
to be in the
60s, 70s.
No, it was around. I think it's like 1980.
Oh, okay.
It was way back. I was still in high school, and it was like, I get a note where the teacher calls me out in the hall, and I'm like, what? And they're like, oh, your dad had a heart attack. You can leave early. And I'm like, well, and I had to walk home about 3 miles because we used to walk home from school in those days.
Uphill.
It was nice. It was a nice day.
Both
though,
ways.
in the summer. But come to find out, my dad was telling me about the surgery and the doctor. The doctor was a little short guy, and he stood on a box. He'd carried a box in and put it on the floor and stood up on the box to do the surgery.
You're kidding.
And
Wow.
I forget what his name is, but years later, I was working, and we were doing a court case about a doctor or about a guy who used to be a doctor who was charged with he got hooked on OxyContin and ruined his entire life. And it was the same doctor that did surgery on my dad.
Wow.
Like 15, 20 years or 20 years
Wow.
earlier.
Oh my.
But yeah, it was like, wow, that's I saw him sitting in the hall in his orange jumpsuit and
Yeah.
cuffs, and I was like, man, you were a heart surgeon, weren't you? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, you operated on my dad. I appreciate it. You did a good job. He said you did a great job.
Yeah.
And
What'd he say?
he's like, well, yeah,
Oh,
he didn't say much,
Yeah.
but just ruined his life with getting involved in drugs and
Yeah.
getting.
Oh, I forgot to say, my wife went to the car wash too when she took me to.
Oh.
That's good. She drove real slow. Yeah, but yeah, heart attacks are nothing to mess with. They can be mild, but they can cascade into something much more serious.
You feel that something is really wrong.
Something's not right.
Get to the hospital, get to the ER, or if you're out hunting and you feel something is just not right, stop your hunting, go to the hospital, guys.
Why does exertion, like you're hunting and walking a lot, why does that exacerbate it?
Well, it breaks off that clot.
Yeah.
It
breaks off that little clot in your heart.
If you have some
so it are,
atherosclerosis.
Does everybody have some clots sitting?
Yeah, your clots are sitting. We probably all got some clots sitting there.
So like the
and you go
kidneys-
walking up a hill and you're huffing and puffing and you're not doing anything for 2 weeks, and you start, walking up a hill and you're huffing and puffing. You got heavy clothing on, and that little clot breaks off, and you're going, man, I don't feel really good. Get thee to the ER, people.
My cousin died exactly that way.
Yeah.
He was hunting. He stopped on the way home in Canton and he died. But
buddy of mine did that. He was a veterinarian, smart guy.
Yeah.
Coon hunting. He was overweight and he smoked like a chimney and he worked, 24 hours a day. And I said, Bob, you're going to die up on top of one of these hills in New Philly. And boy, if he didn't,
Oh.
Yeah.
Because I know, like with kidney stones, you've got, and I have, kidneys sitting in your kidneys. But if they
you
sit
have
there,
stones sitting in your kidneys.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sorry.
You don't have kidneys sitting in your kidneys.
Stones. And as long as they stay there, because I remember when they did the scan, I had like 8, and they're here and there. But if they stay there and they don't break loose, no big deal. So in reality, it's the same thing with the heart.
Right.
You have little clots here and there, and as long as they stay there,
You probably do.
Gallstones are the same way.
Same way. They can block.
That's what. I had my gallbladder removed. I had a gallstone. I only had one. It was about this big.
About as big as a golf ball.
It filled. Yeah, they said it filled your entire gall. They said it was the largest one they'd seen in like 15 years.
Really?
So I said,
well,
hey,
you're the largest one I've seen in 15 years.
Go big or go home. My anesthesiologist, they wheeled me in, and I'm all loopy from the stuff they give you before anesthesia.
Yeah.
And they wheeled me in, and I knew who it was, even behind the mask. And the guy's like, "Hey, Big Daddy," and all the nurses are looking, and the doctor's like, "Big Daddy,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Hi."
You were.
Yeah.
Hi.
But they had these screens, like big monitors,
Yeah.
with color bars, and I'm like, do I have to edit a story before you do surgery? And then I was out.
Okay.
That's the last
Okay.
thing I remember saying.
All right, we got to take a break. What a morning.
And
What a
then knives. Knives next
Now
thing.
we'll get
Yeah,
to
we
the
saved the
knives.
knives till
We'll
8
save the
o'clock.
knives.
Yeah, okay. We'll take a short break. We'll be back.
Of emotion, and like the wind, their eyes